A feeling of urgency coming out of the COP27 talks and a feeling of division. At least one smaller climate-vulnerable nation saying anything less than establishing a loss and damage fund the UN-led talks would amount to a betrayal. The UN has published what's considered a very rough draft COP27 climate deal. It maintains a goal from last year to accelerate measures towards the phase down of unabated coal power and phase out and rationalise inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. It also repeats the target of keeping the global average temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels and push to limit the rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But the text does not include details for launching a loss and damage fund.
Julie Yu is covering COP27 for us, and she joins us live now from Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. Julie, some strong words from nations at the tip of the spear for climate change.
Yes, Dawn, you mentioned betrayal comments. That came from the Environment Minister for Antigua and Barbuda. He's among many representatives of low-lying and vulnerable nations pushing for a loss and damage fund. And he's also said that he's frustrated that political commitments have not translated into action. Then we've got the climate change minister from Pakistan, Sherry Raymond, who I spoke to last week. Now, she says that at the very least, we need a political announcement of intent to make a loss and damage facility, and the delegates can work around the developed countries' worries about liability for loss and damage, which is seen as a sticking point. And the fund would see richer nations considered more responsible for causing global warming pay poorer countries that are dealing with the fallout from extreme weather. And also spoken to the environment minister from Thailand. Now, he told me his country backs claims for loss and damage and that he wants progress on past promises, saying pointedly that nations need to put their money where their promises are. This is always the case with these UN-led talks, with discussions and deliberations over draft text heating up towards the end of the two-week conference. But in this case, we are hearing a very loud call for a loss and damage fund to be set up. Now, China has said that it backs the idea of a fund. It says it would pay, though, although it's not obliged. Earlier, also, the climate envoys from both China and the U.S. met today. The nations are the world's top polluters. They're also the top two economies. So naturally, people expect them to contribute a substantial amount. Now, the EU, for its part, says that all major emitters in the G20, including China, have a responsibility to contribute to loss and damage funding. Now, however, the EU climate envoy, Frans Timmermans, says the Europeans are only willing to discuss the possibility of a loss and damage fund. He also says the COP27 cover text needs a tremendous amount of work. Meanwhile, Egypt's COP27 president, for his part, says time is not on their side and that everyone needs to come together now so they can deliver a deal by tomorrow. Now, in theory, COP27 is scheduled to finish tomorrow evening, but not many people have been speaking to say that that could be possible. So the bottom line, watch this space over the next 48 hours. Guys?
Yeah, time certainly isn't on our side for climate change. Julie, thank you very much for that. Julie Yu there reporting live for us from COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt.